What up, America? It's your boy, Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. So, apparently, new census, new U.S. Census Bureau data is out, and it's talking about that more and more residents are now leaving Chicago. You know, and the city's population has become on a decline. Now, there's got to be something behind this. You know, I will say this. You know, this is the fourth year in a row Chicago as a city has become on a decline. And like I said, I'm making this is probably my hypothesis, my theory, my predictions why the, cit, the city has been on a major decline as of recent history. And first reason could be is that the outrageous taxes. You know, it costs a mere fortune to live, work, play. You know, do certain things in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like even the simplest things, like if you're going out for grocery shopping, or if you're buying, I don't know, if you're like, buying any other products or services in Chicago, you are talking about getting taxed up the wazoo. I mean, taxed up the wazoo so much that you really can't afford, to spend on anything while living there. Not to mention, if you work there and you look at your paycheck, while in Chicago, if you work in Chicago and you get your weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly paycheck, however, whatever the job establishment pays you, you look at that check, and next thing you know, they take a huge chunk of change out of your paycheck, because literally Chicago, literally because Chicago is like broke. They are a tax-heavy city, and you get taxed left and right. You know, it's hardly much to stop about it. The second reason is this. The crime. You know, the cr- you know, Even though supposedly the crime rate in Chicago is still kind of going downward. I mean, you can't, you know, Chicago still has high crime in certain spots of the city, notably the west and the south sides. And and law-abiding citizens who live in those areas, they have no choice but to endure it. They want to get out, but the problem is this: Chicago as a city has the most gun laws uh, in the nation. You know, and they're a gun control heavy city, and just by looking at the crime rate in Chicago alone, gun control has been proven ineffective time and time again. You know, you got law-abiding citizens in these inner city ghettos that has to fight for their life if God forbid they become a victim of gun violence, from criminals in those particular areas. Third reason, Chicago itself has, the public school system is a joke in Chicago. You got too many failing schools there. And pretty much next thing you know, one resort is this. You know, Parents want to take their kids to maybe like a a charter school, or or unfortunately a very expensive private school. And that's a problem right there. I mean, public school public schools are public schools in Chicago are a joke, and they continue to fail children time and time again, especially in the areas that are pretty underperforming. Um, I will also say this too. I'll also say this too. But more speaking of, back to my, how back to the violence part. Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and apparently it's going. And next thing you know, it's going to get warm out, and we already know there's going to be a rise in gun violence. You know, from criminals in Chicago. I'm gonna just make that clear right there. But anyway, moving on. The next reason why why Chicago population is on a decline is this. Well, you got failed liberal policies that people keep voting for, and Chicago has been a Democratic stronghold since 1931. Yeah, 1931 was when Chicago has been a Democratic stronghold, and just let progressive policies take over. And those progressive policies, you know, even from the time I was growing up, never has worked. You know, some people might be thinking that, Harold Washington was, maybe people like Harold Washington or Mayor Richard M. Daley were probably, the best mayors in Chicago. And that goes to my fifth point. Chicago as a city has had so much government corruption up the wazoo. And it's way too much of it, and which is hurting the taxpayers and the law-abiding people that live there. So it really is. It's really a given right there. Why? Now, here's the thing. When suppose now people are moving to like other places like Houston, or whatever. And here's the thing. Texas is a very conservative state. When you go in Chicago, let alone the state of Illinois, is a liberal / leftist stronghold. what I will predict is this: people who migrate to Texas, from Chicago, what they're going to do is vote for liberal policies. And I will say this: if you if you vote for if you're coming from a liberal area where you voted for liberal policies for so long, and you want to migrate to an area that's fully conservative, that basically, if you want to migrate to a city with a Republican mayor or a state with a Republican governor, it's best for you to stay put. Okay, it's best for you to stay put in where you have lived throughout the majority of your lifetime. And I mean, while you keep voting for those same failed liberal policies left and right. Because, but, because I'm pretty sure people in Texas might not want to tolerate you know, the liberal policies or, social justice, or social justice douchebaggery that you want to bring over there. I mean, ain't going to happen. But I will say this. you know, Even though Chicago just got a new mayor inaugurated recently, pretty much you're going to expect a whole lot of progressivism in the city, and progressivism is much worse than is much worse than progressive progressivism is literally a bad thing for, any city or state or country for that matter. I mean, but yeah, those are my opinions why why Chicago is still, being a city where it's having a decline in residents. Oh yeah, not to mention, it's hard to find it's hard to find good employment in Chicago. You know, Even though they're talking about ra- raising, higher wages and whatnot, you know, that's going to hurt a lot of jobs in the long run. And you're going to see jobs pulling out of the area because of that reason alone. Because they want to make the city. The city's already unaffordable to live in. But that's my take. What do you guys take on why Chicago itself is still on a population decline? I'm Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. I am signing off. You guys take care.